Back in 1956, a major fight broke out over a single strip of water in the Egyptian desert. And believe it or not, it completely changed the world. So let's dive into the Suez Crisis and see how it toppled old empires and really created the world that we live in today.
It sounds a little dramatic, doesn't it? But it's absolutely true. We're about to find out how a man-made canal in Egypt sparked a full-blown war that ended up showing everyone who was really in charge on the world stage.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this crisis, we first have to understand why this one canal was such a massive deal. I mean, think of it less like just a waterway and more like the world's most important shortcut.
Right. So imagine you're a ship captain trying to get from Europe to Asia. Instead of sailing all the way around Africa, which takes forever, this canal lets you cut straight through. For a country like Great Britain, this thing was literally their lifeline. It was the fastest route for trade, and this is the crucial part, for getting oil from the Middle East to power their entire country.
Now let's bring in the man at the very center of all of this, Egypt's leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser. He had this huge, ambitious dream for his country. He wanted to build the massive Aswan High Dam to control the Nile River, generate tons of electricity, and show the world that Egypt was a modern, powerful nation, free from outside control.
But here's the thing. Building a giant dam costs a giant amount of money. And when Nasser's first plan to get that money completely fell apart, he made a decision that sent absolute shockwaves across the entire globe.
So, why did the money get pulled? Well, you have to remember, this was the peak of the Cold War. The world was basically split into two teams, Team USA and Team Soviet Union. So when the West saw Nasser getting a little too friendly with the Soviets, they got nervous and backed out of the deal. And that turned out to be a really big mistake.
Nasser's response was to do something called nationalization. It's a pretty simple idea, really. It's when a government looks at a private company and just says, you know what, this belongs to the country now.
And that is exactly what he did. See, the canal was run by a company mostly owned by British and French investors. So Nasser went on the radio and declared that the canal was now under full Egyptian control. All the money that ships paid to pass through would go straight to Egypt to fund his dam. You can just imagine how that news went down in London and Paris.
Furious is an understatement. Britain and France felt like their most valuable asset had just been stolen right out from under them. And since they were convinced that just talking about it wouldn't work, they started cooking up a secret plan with a very, very surprising partner.
Okay, so this is where it gets really sneaky. Britain, France, and Israel came up with a secret three-step plan. Step 1, Israel would attack Egypt. Step 2, Britain and France would swoop in, pretending to be neutral peacekeepers, and demand that both sides back away from the canal. And then, Step 3, when Egypt, the country that was just attacked, obviously refused, they would invade to protect the canal. It was basically a full-blown invasion disguised as a rescue mission.
And at first, the plan worked like a charm. Israeli tanks rolled across the desert, right toward the canal. The trap was sprung. With a war now officially underway, Britain and France had the perfect excuse they needed to send in their own troops and ships.
But the invaders completely miscalculated how the rest of the world was going to react. This invasion sparked global outrage, and it led to one of the most bizarre moments of the entire Cold War.
This is where things get really weird. All of a sudden, the two biggest enemies on the planet, the USA and the Soviet Union, were on the same side. Both of them went to the United Nations and condemned the invasion. The US was absolutely furious that its allies had lied and gone behind its back, and the Soviet Union saw a golden opportunity to win over new friends in the Middle East.
So what did the US do? It didn't send soldiers. It used its ultimate weapon, money. The American government put immense financial pressure on Britain, refusing to help as the value of the British pound started to crash. In that moment, it became crystal clear that there was a new #1 power in the world.
And guess what? That economic pressure worked. The invasion screeched to a halt. When all the dust finally settled, it was obvious that this crisis had created a whole new world order, with some very clear winners and some very clear losers.
A ceasefire was called almost immediately. But who was going to enforce it? Well, the United Nations came up with a brand new idea, the first ever UN peacekeeping force. These were soldiers from neutral countries, sent not to fight, but to literally keep the peace. By the next spring, all the invading troops were gone, and the canal reopened, fully and officially under Egyptian control.
So let's look at the final score. While the invasion might have been a military success for a few days, it was a total political disaster. Nasser became a hero across the entire Arab world for standing up to the old empires.
And Britain and France, they were publicly humiliated, and their global influence was shattered. It was over.
The ripple effects from this one crisis were just enormous. This was the moment that Britain and France effectively stopped being global superpowers. It proved to everyone that no European nation could make a major move without America's approval, and it sent a powerful message to colonies around the world. You too can stand up and fight for your independence.
And that brings us to right now. The Suez Crisis was a powerful lesson in how controlling just one strategic choke point, one vital shipping lane, can completely shift the balance of world power. And it really makes you wonder, what vital trade routes hold that kind of power today?